Well, good Saturday evening. Meteorologist Evan Stewart here. If you normally tune in at this time, 8 o'clock, you might find myself or Hunter or Chief Meteorologist Tim Pandagis giving you the Hurricane Hub Live. Well, because of the coastal storm that we have here in eastern Virginia, North Carolina, the nor'easter, we have special coverage of that this evening because we are looking at some pretty significant conditions here across Hampton Roads. Eastern Virginia, North Carolina. For those of you who might be joining us from elsewhere across the country. So let's get right to it. Talk about our October nor'easter. It's something we've been talking about for a week, and it's not just impacting us here in Eastern Virginia and North Carolina, but all up and down the eastern seaboard. We saw issues down through Florida, saw issues through South Carolina and Georgia, and now it's continuing to work its way northward. So here through Eastern Virginia, North Carolina, we're looking at the potential for 2 to 4 inches. Not a tremendous amount of rain, but there could be some isolated spots where we see 4 to 6 inches of rain. Wind gusts, that'll be an issue, especially at the coastline, when we could see winds gusting around 50, maybe even 60 miles per hour. The biggest issue that we're going to see is with tidal flooding, moderate to major tidal flooding as we go into the day on Sunday. Now, we already have the king tides, which is just an astronomically high tide because of the alignment of the Earth, the moon, and the sun pushing those high tides up, and then combine those easterly winds. And we're looking at major tidal flooding. This will be the first time in about 10 years if we get up to 6.5 feet of floodwater. That's at Sewell's Point, our measuring station. We would see the low end of major tidal flooding. The last time we had that was back in October 2015 with Hurricane Joaquin. So here's the storm continuing to develop and intensify off the coast of South Carolina, and through much of the day today. The rain has been through North and South Carolina. Haven't seen much in Virginia, but we have started to see that rain across the state line, and we're seeing some rain here through the south side of Virginia, but certainly some very heavy rain across coastal North Carolina as we've gone here through the day today. As we switch over to live radar, where we see those yellows and oranges, that's the heaviest of the rain. Notice this one band now crossing the state line, working its way out of North Carolina into southern Virginia. But it's just been very, very heavy rain here for hours on end across eastern North Carolina around the Pamlico Sound. And that's one of the areas we were watching for some of those higher rainfall totals. Zooming in here a little bit more as we switch over to live radar coming in out of Newport, North Carolina, Morehead City office. You can see that heavy rain through the Pamlico Sound, Ocracoke over towards Hatteras, Buxton, Avon, Waves, Rodanthe, Salvo. If you're watching from elsewhere in the country, you're certainly familiar with the issues they've had with the homes there in Rodanthe and down in Buxton. And we're watching several more with the potential as the winds come in here later this evening and into the overnight and into the day tomorrow, and those buffeting waves come in from this nor'easter, that we could still have some issues with some of those homes in those communities. As far as the rainfall estimates so far, this is just over the last 12 hours. Already seen, an inch and a quarter here along the outer banks of Dare and Hyde County, and then some heavier amounts already over 2 inches here between Havelock and Atlantic down towards the Morehead City area. And, Cape Lookout and Cape Fear, we've seen some of that heavy rain as well. Not as much as you get up here through parts of mainland Dare and Hyde, ½ inch, 3/4 of an inch, but there's still a lot of heavy rain that is yet to come here through the overnight. And as I mentioned, that one band that is now working its way out of North Carolina into Virginia, some of the heaviest of the rain right along the state line. It's a little bit lighter around Elizabeth City, but that heavy rain through Chesapeake and Virginia Beach over into Suffolk, northern Gates County, that will continue to work its way northward. I haven't seen much rain across areas of the peninsula, the middle peninsula, and the eastern shore yet, but the rain will continue to overspread the region as we go here through the overnight. So that's what it looks like on radar. What does it look like outside right now? Well, we have Layla Cox in our Weather Impact Interceptor. She's been all over the region as we've gone through the day today. You're in Norfolk now, but you were up in Hampton earlier because there was some concern about the winds and some of the fishing piers up there around Buckrow Beach.
Yeah, that is right, Evan. We're in Norfolk right now, but as you mentioned, we were in Hampton where the James T. Wilson fishing pier is actually closed tomorrow due to that high wind watch. But if we bring it back on here into Norfolk, we're actually driving through West Virginia Beach Boulevard near the Harrison Opera House, where it's actually looking pretty flooded right now. We're just about to take a U-turn. Our photographer is about to make a U-turn. But in the city of Norfolk, crews say that they're already preparing for tidal flooding as the storm reaches our area, just to make sure that the stormwater infrastructure and hotspots all week have been cleared. We're also told that in Norfolk, the floodgates around the city will close as the weather approaches. We just want to remind you guys on the roads, as the rain starts to pick up in these low-lying areas, that there are areas for you to safely move your vehicles in. The last thing city leaders say they want to see is people driving through hazardous high-level waters. So in Norfolk, you could go to the York Street parking garage. That'll be open for cars up until 10 a.m. on Monday, as we're supposed to see the highest flooding and risks of high-leveled waters tomorrow. It's also worth a mention that at Old Dominion University, they're making the following garages available through Monday morning as well: on 43rd Street and Elkhorn Avenue, 43rd Street and Bluestone Avenue, and 49th Street and Bluestone Avenue Stadium Garage as well. If you're up there in Hampton, the parking garage on Settlers Land Road is open for free to the public to move their cars there and make sure they're safe. The biggest message from city leaders at their time is to monitor the forecast and stay weather aware, of course, right here with 13 News Now. But as we're just seeing a little bit of rain coming down now, we know that the systems are really going to strengthen tomorrow morning. I spoke with Dominion Energy this morning, and a spokesperson said when storms like this come, an average of approximately 40,000 power outages could happen. So as we get these high winds and trees fall, not only in residential areas, but with the high tides coming from the coast, we could see some very high potential for power outages. And Dominion Energy just wants to let you know that you could stay aware with their Dominion app, but also just be mindful that as crews monitor restorations near the coast and also in these residential areas, just to be patient with the amount of time that it might take to restore. But we're told that crews are on standby preparing for the peak outages, which will be tomorrow morning around 2 a.m. Into the early morning. So again, we're not seeing much right now on the road if you're looking from our great weather impact interceptor, but cities are preparing for the strongest impacts to come into tonight, into tomorrow, and into Monday, which is why 13 News Now has issued that weather impact alert. But that's all I have for you right now. Evan, of course, it's not raining, but we know your traffic systems to start tonight, possibly around 11 p.m. So that's all I've got from you guys. Back to you, Evan, in the studio. Just remember, stay safe, turn around, don't drown, and be right here with us as we monitor the storms into your work week. Layla Cox, 13 News Now.
Thank you very much, Layla. Yes, and we're actually at low tide right now, so that's why we're not seeing too many issues with flooding. High tide was around 2 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see another high tide around 2 a.m. and then the really high tide, the one that we're watching, is the one tomorrow. We're going to see those tide levels coming up tomorrow afternoon. So let's get back to the maps, time things out for you here with Futurecast, and show you that rain overspreading the area as we go here through the remainder of the evening and the overnight. And we're looking at the strongest winds coming into the day tomorrow as well. With that northeast flow coming in, we're looking at wind gusts here on the map. Now, normally when we show this, we have temperatures on the map. Now we're showing you those wind gusts. And you can see here as we get into tomorrow morning, wind gusts 50 miles per hour along the coastline. So that is certainly going to wake you up later tonight or early tomorrow morning, as some of those windows will be rattling. Now, the winds are not bad out there right now, but they will be increasing later tonight and into the day tomorrow. So the first part of the rain will really start to taper off a bit into the afternoon, into scattered showers, but we'll still see those gusty winds. Notice wind gusts upwards of 55 miles per hour up along the eastern shore around midday tomorrow and into the afternoon. 40, 50 mile per hour gusts, and that's enough to push the water levels up into the Chesapeake Bay. If you're not familiar with the topography and the lay of the land here, this is the mouth of the Chesapeake Bay. And when we get those northeast winds, it pushes the water into the Chesapeake Bay. We get a high tide, and then the water will work its way back out into the ocean. But if you have northeast winds, it's hard for that water to exit. So then you just get the water stuck there, and then the next high tide comes and you get the compounding effects. And that's what we're going to see into tomorrow. Tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, still looking at scattered showers and some gusty winds as this low lingers along the coastline, even into Monday. Still looking at some scattered showers and some breezy conditions. Tide levels will be slow to go down. So we'll still have some issues with moderate tidal flooding into the day on Monday. So let's get to those tide levels that I was talking about. This afternoon, we came in at a high tide at 4.5 feet. That's considered minor tidal flooding at Sewell's Point in Norfolk. This is up near Norfolk Naval Base, if you're familiar with the area. The overnight high tide is going to be a few inches higher, 4.9. That's still considered minor tidal flooding. But then as we get into tomorrow afternoon's high tide, this is the one we've been watching for the past several days. We've been saying this Sunday afternoon high tide is going to be the big one. And again, 6.5 feet is the official forecast right now for Sewell's Point. As I mentioned earlier, this will be the first time since Hurricane Joaquin in 2015 that we've had water get up to 6.5 feet. And that would actually be the 11th highest for the 11th highest high tide on record. And our records go back all the way to before the 1930s. The 1933 hurricane, Chesapeake Potomac hurricane, gave us the highest tides, and not far behind it was Hurricane Isabel. But this is significant flooding. This is considered major tidal flooding in Norfolk. And then still minor tidal flooding as we go into Monday. The water level slow to come down. That's at Sewell's Point. What about Lynnhaven Inlet? This is Lynnhaven Inlet in Virginia Beach, near Little Creek, Ocean View, and Norfolk. Again, the overnight high tide, not too bad, but major tidal flooding as we get into tomorrow afternoon with a tide level of 6.3 feet and still some issues into the day on Monday. As we head a little bit farther north, Yorktown, this is along the York River. Between Yorktown and Gloucester Point, you can see major tidal flooding is expected there as well. And we'll also have issues along the James River. So communities around Smithfield, Scotland, where the ferry comes between the Jamestown, which if you're familiar with history, you know Jamestown, Yorktown, and Williamsburg, the historic triangle there along the Virginia Peninsula where the country was founded. First permanent English settlement there at Jamestown. So along the James River, Smithfield, might be familiar with Smithfield ham, Smithfield bacon. You know, that could have some issues with some tidal flooding in northern Suffolk as well. And again, the water level is slow to go down. And as we head down along the Outer Banks to the town of Duck, looking at major tidal flooding as well Sunday afternoon, right around midday, and all along the Outer Banks. There will be issues. We've already seen overwash along Highway 12. That's the main route that runs down the Outer Banks of North Carolina. Includes Ocracoke Island, all the way down, towards Morehead City, and all the way up the east coast there of North Carolina. Seen overwash today, and that was with tides, again, that are going to be 2 feet higher tomorrow. So more significant issues with that overwash along Highway 12 tomorrow, and still minor to moderate tidal flooding into the day on Monday. As far as rainfall amounts through Monday, generally 2 to 4 inches of rain, some higher amounts closer to the Albemarle and Pamlico Sound, where we've already seen 2 inches of rain in spots. So that potential is there for the heaviest of the rain. Gets lighter and lesser amounts of rain as you work your way back towards Interstate 95. But we've got the cloudy skies out there right now. We've got the rain, we've got the mist, we've got the drizzle here in Virginia, but the steadier rain in North Carolina. Right now, winds only coming in at 10 miles per hour and fairly uniform temperatures in the 60s. But here are the most recent gusts, 25, 26, 25 miles per hour, almost 30 miles per hour at Wallops Island. So not too bad as far as those wind gusts out there right now, but that will change as we go here later through the evening and into the overnight. So we're calling for those winds, 20 to 30, gusting to 45 by morning. Coming windy, rain, heavy at times, 65 and only 71 tomorrow. Rain heavy at times, windy, tidal flooding. Again, gusts to 50, even some 60 mile per hour gusts along the coastline. And we'll still have some issues into the day on Monday. We might extend the weather impact alert all the way through the day on Monday. Right now, we just have the first half of the day. Wouldn't be surprised if we extend that through the rest of the day on Monday as well, because there'll be some tidal issues into the afternoon. And then the storm finally starts to gets kicked out towards the east. My upper level low and a cold front approaching. Will be warm on Wednesday, 71 degrees, but then down into the 60s for Thursday and Friday. Mostly sunny, a little taste of fall, and be one of the first times that we've seen temperatures here in coastal Virginia that'll likely get down into the 40s before we warm up again into Saturday. So that's the latest on what's going on with the coastal storm, the nor'easter. We'll be back again at 10 o'clock, and then after the football game on WVEC, ABC 13, that's coming up later this evening. We've got team coverage that'll be with you throughout the day tomorrow. as the worst impacts from the storm are being felt. We'll have team coverage tomorrow morning and throughout the afternoon and into the evening and all the way into Monday morning. So stick right here with us at 13 News Now, and we'll continue to keep you updated throughout the weekend.